Are you like most sales and other professionals who want to grow their wealth faster than what they are currently doing through their company 401k, even with that company match, the stock market, or just plain saving money? Would you sleep better at night if you had the financial freedom to be job optional in just 3 to 5 years through investing in real assets? Maybe you don't want to stop working, but wouldn't it be cool if you could retire a decade earlier than most? And do the traveling you and your family have planned for years while you're still young and can enjoy it? Let's face it, most busy professionals don't have the time or desire to take on more work outside of their W-2 to grow their wealth. On The Wealth Flow, each week we share the stories, the investments, and take a deep dive into the various asset classes that can deliver that accelerated growth to your portfolio passively. That's right, no extra work for you. Instead, we'll put your money to work. Learn what the 95% aren't talking about and join the top 5% of earners today on The Wealth Flow.
All right, welcome to The Wealth Flow. My guest today is Wayne Seminoff. He is a real estate investor with over 50 years experience. Quite by accident, though. He dove in headfirst and learned everything there was to know about real estate and started making money for himself. And the seasoned man took over as a partner. Well, Wayne, I am looking forward to hearing your story. But I always like to start with really your background, where you grew up and what eventually led you to being a real estate investor.
All right. Well, actually, what I like to start with is what I really do is I teach young people how to take $1,000, tweak it by buying a junk piece of raw land that nobody wants, and fix one of my techniques and sell it for $400,000 or $500,000. That's what
awesome. Yeah.
Anybody can do this. Any young person can do it. All they have to do is learn the techniques. So that's the overall picture. That's what I do. And that's what I'm
perfect.
here to, as a teacher.
No, that's perfect. Okay.
And now I'll get into how it all started. It's kind of a long haul. I've been doing it for 40 or 50 years, but when I first came to Seattle, I didn't have a job. So I started looking around for things to do. And I found auctions. I thought, well, I'll just look at auctions in the newspapers, just for fun. And I found auctions of dead people's artifacts that are on their bodies in the morgues that the county auctions off every 5 years. So that means when people die and there's no heirs and stuff, they have ring, their eyeglasses, their false teeth, and all that shit.
Yeah.
And I went to this auction and it had like 10 people there, and there was piles of all this weird shit. And so I started bidding on it. They have nice watches and stuff and some rings. And this guy started bidding against me. And then we were the only two guys who were actually bidding. And he came over to me and says, "Hey, Wayne," or he says, "Hey, why don't you stop bidding? I'll buy everything on the next bid. And then we'll go and we'll split it in a restaurant afterwards." So we bought everything. We bought boxes of this shit. And then we went to a restaurant and then we put it on, dumped it on the table. And, and he says, "Okay, you get one thing, I get one thing." And we got watches. I got a bunch of watches. I got some eyeglasses. I got false teeth, all this weird stuff. And rings, still blood on them because they had to cut them off the cadavers,
Oh my gosh.
But what that did is I got to know this guy, and he owned 1,000 pieces of raw land that he bought, junk property, junk pieces of land. And I knew he could not manage those. So I said, I'll tell you what, if I do all the work and get these properties, I can get these properties saleable and sell them. You don't have to do anything. Will you give me half ownership? And he said, yes. Yeah. So at that moment, my real estate career started. And then I had 1,000 pieces of properties that all had problems. And then at that point, I didn't really know how to solve them all. So I just started figuring them out. And over a period of, it was about 3 or 4 years or 5 years, we sold a lot of them and made lots and lots of money. And I learned all these tricks. I condense it. There's like 7 tricks that you learn to make junk land valuable. And then once I learned it, then I went and I started buying my own stuff. And then I just been doing that ever since. And I regularly can go to a tax sale, a county tax sale. They have them once a year here in King County. And I'll buy, maybe 10 pieces of property.
Mm-hmm.
And inevitably on 1 or 2 or 3 of them, I'll make 100 times my money or 1,000 times my money. And it's ideal. What's great about it is I took the approach, I don't have any money, when I first started.
Yeah.
And, so this approach is perfect for people who don't have any money. If you got $1,000, you can buy a piece of property. And with some of the scenarios, that's all you have to spend. And then you get this huge multiplier. For example, I bought one piece of property on lakefront property for $1,000. And the sewer line was right in front of the property, 15 feet away, but it was in a different jurisdiction. And the guy who sold me the property, he couldn't convince the sewer company to give him access. So he says it's worthless. So he sold it to me for $1,000. So I got it and I called the sewer company. I said, no, you can't connect. And I said, well, let me talk to your boss. I called his and he said, no, you can't connect. And I called the head guy. And he says, well, I'm not sure if you can connect. I said, well, it'll cost me $500,000 to run a line to the other connection, and lot's only worth 100,000. It was a cheap lot.
Yeah.
And he says, well, okay, I'll let you connect. So in 30 days, I lot on the market. I sold it for 60,000 cash. So
Wow.
I spent $1,000 and I made $60,000 30 days later.
Not a bad day.
Yeah, and that was just a simple little technique of just calling the agency and going, up high enough to get a yes.
Yeah.
And since that time, I bought and sold probably, I don't know, hundreds or thousands of properties. I don't even know how many. But I finally turned 80. And when I turned 80, I realized at some point I'm going to die. Like mortality becomes real when you're 80. Like,
Right.
I don't think I'll live that old. And I thought, well, what am I going to do with all my knowledge when I die? It's all going to be gone.
Yeah.
And why let it just go away? Why not share it? So I decided when I was 80 to share all my knowledge with everybody I can about everything. And one area was the real estate stuff. So what I decided to do is write everything I know about real estate. And I wrote 2 books and 50 videos, and I put it in a program. And it has it's online. You can buy it. It's called junklandintogold.com. It sells for $1,000, but if you put in the code FUN, FUN, you get it for half. So it's $500. And I didn't put on. It cost me a lot more than that to put it out there on the market. It took me 3 years to do it all.
Yeah.
But the goal is to give young people an opportunity to get out of the hole that they're in. Most of us are in a rat race hole. We work, 8 to 5. You come home, you pay your bills, you have no money left over, and it starts all over on Monday. And then when you finally get older and they fire you or you quit, you have nothing left over.
Right.
So this is perfect side gig for somebody. They can play with this like a hobby, and then go to the tax sales. They're online now, and peruse the properties and buy maybe 1 or 2 pieces, and then just fix them. There's 7 techniques to fix them. And,
Yeah.
Once you learn a technique, it's easy to do. It just takes some time. And you fix them. Once they're buildable, the multipliers are insane. I mean, really insane. And I buy properties that are junk in really good areas. I bought one piece right next to Bill Gates' house in Bellevue. It touches his land.
Oh, really? Wow.
And basically, I bought it and I sold it 24 hours later for $200,000. I paid, actually, this is a long time ago. I paid $100 for it at the tax sale.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And 24 hours later, I sold for 200,000. I mean, anyways, but it's something that it's not out of reach for people. This is something a young person, you don't have to be smart. All you have to do is just follow the rules. For example, people don't know that every piece of property, if it's big enough to hold a foundation, which is like 20 by 40 feet,
Mm-hmm.
it's buildable in pretty much any jurisdiction. And that could be a property that's only 2,000 square feet total, like even Triangle or something like that. The
Yeah.
rules are every property is buildable, and the city will give you a variance to build on any small property, provided it meets, some other rules. But generally, any property is buildable if it's big enough to put a foundation on it.
Okay.
And then,
Okay.
and then if you have sewer and water and everything in the area, then you just connect. And so that's one trick, is getting a variance. There's like a handful. One is getting access, like you can buy landlocked properties.
Yeah.
You just go to the neighbor and ask him for an easement to get to the property. And what I do is, like, let's say it's a high rent neighborhood where the lots, say worth 400,000. I go to the neighbor in the front and I say, I'll tell you what, I'll give you $200,000 when I sell this property if you'll give me an easement to run it through your lot for access to my property. And if he says yes, then I go and I apply for building permit or whatever. Right? I get the city to okay that it's buildable.
Yeah.
And once they do that, I put it on the market and I sell it, and he gets half and I get half. So he makes 200,000, I make 200,000, and it doesn't cost me. It just costs me what I paid for the lot, which is $1,000 or $2,000.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So are you finding most of yours then, Wayne, on the tax sales? Is that kind of the origin of where you're starting? Okay.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's the easiest way, because the number one rule that I teach is you got to buy it from a don't wanter. You have to buy property from people who do not want their property. And most of the people that are don't wanters are people who inherit properties. People who inherit properties, they're goofier than shit. They hate their family, they hate their parents, and they hate the property they inherited. And they just don't want it. And I bought stuff for peanuts from heirs. I mean, I bought houses, complete houses in Seattle for $45,000 from heirs, because
Wow.
they hated and I just give them cash. I go, here, I'm going to give you 45,000 cash right now if you give me your deed to the house. They go, fine. It's stupid. It's stupid simple. But anyways, so in the tax sale list, I go through and I look for owners that are out of state. They're don't wanters. I look for people who are, it says the state of John Doe. That means, the guy's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you one I did in Issaquah just recently, about a year ago. It's my best deal. I found a half acre. It's water, sewer, and power. It's on 2 roads. It's right across the street from the shopping center. It's in the commercial area right next to the freeway. There's a really high value property. It's worth $500,000 if you could build on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I called the guy in the tax sale and I said, why are you putting it in the tax sale just before the sale? And he goes, well, it's got the title's all screwed up. And I tried to give it to the city of Issaquah for free, and they didn't want it because the title's messed up. And I went, I said, well, I'll buy it, because that's one of my techniques, is clearing title. And I could do that really easily. And I said, I'll give you $500 for it. And he says, what do you think, I'm crazy or something? And I go, how much you want? And he goes, well, I have to split it with my sister, so make it 1,000 and I'll do it. So I got $1,000 on Venmo. I sent him the deed. He signed it. I owned it in 24 hours. And then I went to my attorney and I said, clear the title. I told him what to do. And in 90 days, cleared the title. At that point, that lot was worth $500,000.
Wow.
Okay. Then I went to the city. Since a half acre, I said, can you split it into 2 lots, 2 quarter-acre lots? He says, sure. So I did a short subdivision. And then that completed about a month ago. And so now I have 2 lots worth $500,000. That's $1 million. And my initial investment was $1,000. And then I had to pay about another 15 or 20,000 to get all the permits, all the studies and the surveys and all the other stuff. So for my $20,000 investment, I'm going to put it on the market this week for $1 million.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible.
And all you have to do is one deal like that, in your whole life. You don't have to do, work your ass off day after day forever. Just find one good deal and just follow it. And anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. And so I encourage people to, get the program and there's 2 books and 50 videos, and it really goes into real detail on how to do it. It's quite fantastic.
What are the properties typically selling for? Obviously, if it's a tax sale, they've got property taxes that are due, and I'm sure the county is trying to just recover, the past due taxes, so it comes up on a list. But I mean, how is that number that it's advertised at negotiable? And how does one go about actually getting it from there? Just paying the amount that it says it's due? And
Sure. Well, okay. Well, the ideal thing is you buy it for cash before the sale.
okay,
Then you have to pay the taxes. So,
okay,
I had to pay the back taxes on the property. So, I paid the guy $1,000, but then I had to pay the back taxes to clear it out of the tax sale. And the taxes on raw land typically are not very much, but they run, the cheapest usually runs about $1,000,
okay.
and it goes up from there.
So do they publish the list ahead of when the tax? I know with I'm here in San Antonio, Texas, but in Texas we've definitely actively worked like pre-foreclosures, foreclosures. So notification comes out on public record in advance, so you can get in and reach out to the owners directly. Is that kind of how you go about doing it?
Yeah, that's how it works. Well, actually, they do publish it, but you have to kind of be proactive, and you go to your county where you live or wherever you want to do this, and you
Mhm.
contact them and have them send you the list direct. That's what I do.
Okay.
That's why I get it for sure. And then typically they use auction companies to sell it. And then you go to the auction company when the actual auction takes place, then you have to bid blindly against other people. It's better to buy it before the sale because then you have more control and there's no competition. Once you get it in the auction, then you have competition. And, like on this one, if they ever went to the auction, it would have gotten bid up to who knows how much, maybe 100,000,
Right.
but I bought it for 1,000 the day before or a week before, about a week before. Yeah.
Yeah.
The minimum bid in the tax sale is the amount of the back taxes plus all the costs to do it. So it's the taxes plus another 1,000 for publishing and all the other baloney that they do. So typically nowadays, like the cheapest ones run, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 for the junk pieces.
Okay.
And
And on the junk pieces, what typically is making them, are they all just not initially buildable because there's some kind of hair on it, some kind of obstacle, or what do you? And I guess what would you normally find as being kind of the issue with the property?
the small pieces, which I typically buy small pieces, nobody knows the value of junk land. If you have a piece of property and you go to the county and they say you can't build on it, the value is zero.
Yeah.
So, and if you own it and you've been paying you decide, well, the county says I can't build on it, so I'll just let it go on the tax sale because they have to pay taxes on a piece of junk that's worthless.
Right.
But they don't know there's backdoor tricks to make it all buildable. And virtually every reasonable sized lot is buildable. Virtually
Yeah.
everyone. Virtually. Not 100%, but like I say, 80%. 80%.
Yeah.
And so just so it's big enough for a foundation, like a 20 by 40 foot house or 25, 50 foot house, you can build on it. And the law encourages that, and you can get a variance or, some ruling that allow you to build on it. They have exceptions. And
Yeah.
the city helps you with that. The city likes to see, more houses. Yeah. But the bottom line is what young people need to do to get out of the hole. Because I was in the hole and when I was a young man. And, every end of the month I had to pay my bills. I never had enough money to pay my bills, ever.
Yeah.
And I worked my ass off, and by the end of the week I was exhausted and it started all over the next week,
Right.
And then by the time my job was over after a few years, I had nothing to show for it. And, it was just a disaster. And I see a lot of people are in that now, especially with prices rising. And this is the way out. And they can do it while they're working their regular job, just like a hobby. Even they have to wait for the tax sale. You can just get a map of your area we live in. It shows all the parcels. and look
Yeah.
for all the undeveloped parcel, all the vacant land, and look at each piece and see if any of the rules, the 7 rules, apply to any of those pieces. And then call the people up and just call them up and say, hey, do you want to keep it or sell it? And, and if you want to sell it, you want to sell it as a don't wanter, which is cheap. And I bought lots of pieces, not in the sale. I find some, I'm driving around town and I see a little piece. It looks like it's sitting there for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll call the guy up and I'll say, hey, what are you doing with that little piece? It's, everything's developed around except for that little piece. What's wrong with it? And if it's something I can fix, then I'll buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
another real good one is in marginal areas, you have to use a septic system, no sewer, because it's how it is. And properties that don't perk, that means you can't put a sewer septic system on them, are basically worthless because you can't put a septic on it. You can't build on it. And usually those are big pieces, like 5-acre pieces and 10-acre pieces, whatever. And,
Yeah.
and one of my things, I can teach people how to a septic system on any lot that does not perk. That's one of my teaching things. I
Yeah.
can actually show people how to, and it's really easy, actually. It's really easy, and it's stupid simple how to solve the problem. It is just
Right.
so simple. It's unbelievable. And this is the answer. I'll tell you, it's so simple. It's crazy. You got this lot, it won't perk, but there's lots all around you that do perk. And these are big, 5-acre lots. And you go to the neighbor and I say, I'll give you $50,000 if you let me put my drain field on your lot and run a line to my lot. But you don't have to give them it up front. You give them when you sell the lot, you give them the $50,000 and you make a $450,000 profit. Because,
Yeah.
5 acres in a nice neighborhood is worth $500,000,
Right. No, that's great.
That's the answer. And that's such a simple technique and nobody thinks about it. It's stupid simple.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. And I mean, like how you're structuring it where you don't actually have to pay until you receive the money. So it's kind of a win-win situation. And why wouldn't they allow you to do that in most cases? What you mentioned seven tricks. We want to kind of cover what some of those tricks are for the audience.
Well, that was one of them is get an easement to put a drain field. That's a big one.
Okay.
Another big one is getting a variance. The law says that you can basically build on any property that can hold a foundation. And common law, it's called common law. And if you go to a city and you ask them if you can do a variance, they will help you do a variance. So, for example, I bought a triangle in downtown Seattle. It was about, I think it was 1,100 square foot triangle, 1,200 square foot triangle. It was 40 by 80 by 125. And I got a variance to build 1,000 square foot footprint on it. I got 0 lot lines on 2 sides, and 1 foot lot line on the main side. And I built a 3-story, 3,000 square foot home on 1,000 square foot lot.
Wow.
Okay? And this is in downtown Seattle. And, and I bought the lot for $100. This is a long time ago. I bought the lot for $100. But that's not unusual. Cities will allow you to get variances. So that means that the building code, which talks about normal lots, does not apply to junk property.
Right.
You could get a variance from all the rules in the building code virtually. Sometimes you can't. Every once in a while you can't. But I'd say 90% of the time you can get a variance, and that one's probably the most valuable one.
Okay.
The other one is moving lot lines, called boundary line adjustments. You can move a lot line. So, for example, you could buy a lot. Let's say you buy a lot that's 10 feet wide and 200 feet long. And then it's right next to a guy's lot. He's got a big lot with his house at the other end. And the area next to where your lot is he's not even using it. So you go to him and you say, if you'll give me 20 feet of your land, the back 20 feet, and I'll make my lot a buildable lot. Now, my 10-foot lot is now 30 feet wide and I could put a house on it. I'll give you half whatever I make on it. And let's say it's a nice neighborhood. So $400,000 neighborhood, And he
Yeah.
says, I'll give you $200,000 when I sell this if you let me move that boundary line over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if he says yes, then I do my song and dance with the city, get it approved for building, and put it on the market, sell it, get 400,000. He gets two, and I get 200,000.
Yeah.
And
That,
so the whole thing cost me whatever that lot cost me, like $1,000 or $2,000. So it's magic. It's
yeah.
absolute magic. It's unbelievably easy to do, and anybody can do it. You don't have to be a genius to do it. And a
Yeah.
poor guy could do it. If all you need is $1,000, you can borrow it from your brother-in-law. You know what I mean? And go and just buy one lot.
Yeah.
But make sure it's meets before you buy it. Make sure you can apply one of those techniques to it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Wayne. Are you getting, so when you find out about, say you find one of these potential junk lots that there is, I love how you're getting creative with thinking outside the box. Probably hundreds of people that have looked at this lot, and, most of them have just been told, you can't build on that because it's too small, or, because the septic doesn't percolate, or whatever it may be. And then you've gone through and you've decided that, I'm not going to just take no for an answer. I'm going to get a little creative here and ask and see how I can, make this a viable deal. Do you at that point reach out to the neighbor and, try to negotiate that piece of it before actually buying the lot? Or do you sometimes just take a chance on buying the lot and thinking, well, surely I'll be able to make this work?
I do both ways. Both ways.
Okay.
When I have the opportunity, I go in advance. But a lot of times there's no time. And then I just buy it and just take a chance.
Yeah.
Because, if the investment's small enough, it's not a big risk,
Right.
for
Right. Right.
for
Yeah.
$1,000, if it doesn't work, you just let it go back in the tax sale 3 years later and
Yeah.
get your money back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's another trick too, is let it go back in the sale. If after 3 years, you get the surplus above the sale price, above the taxes, and when it's sold at the tax auction.
Okay.
Bought a lot,
Okay.
I bought a lot for 75,000 in downtown Seattle, really gorgeous lot, and I thought it was buildable. It met all the rules, and then I found out there was this hidden thing that I didn't see, and I'm a professional, and
Yeah.
and I couldn't build on it, so I let it go back in the sale, and it sold for 150,000. So I made a $75,000 profit on an unbuildable piece of property I bought that was a complete dud.
Wow. That's great. That's
Yeah.
great.
So even on your bad stuff, you can make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are you doing this primarily in Seattle, or are you doing it
Yeah.
anywhere else
I only do it
geographically?
right in my backyard because
Okay.
there's so many opportunities. There's hundreds of opportunities right in your own backyard.
Right.
Where I buy property? Where I live. I live in Kirkland. I buy, half a mile from my house in downtown Bellevue, right next to Bill Gates' house, in
Yeah.
downtown Seattle. I mean, I go high rent districts because you don't want to do a lot of work for small money. If you buy it
Yeah.
in the boonies, the lot might be worth 100,000 or something. But by the time you're splitting it all up, you end up with a small amount. But
Yeah.
I like it. Half of 400,000 is a lot better, or 500,000, or one of the lot areas I buy in. The lots are $1 million a piece in downtown Bellevue, and I've got 2 lots in that area that I bought. I paid $2,000 for that. I'm working on now, and
Hmm.
once we get the approval, they're worth $1 million. I mean, it's
Wow.
like crazy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like it.
Yeah,
Sounds like it.
yeah. But one thing I wanted to stress too is that there are different things to do. That what I'm going to talk about now is how to make money to gain happiness.
Yeah.
The other things you need to do is, if you make a lot of money and you're not happy, it's not a good thing. So what I did is I wrote another book on Achieve Love Energy. It's called achieveloveenergy.com. Teaches people how to be happy in their lives while they're making money. Okay? Because you can't have just one. You need both. And what it does, it teaches people for a 1-minute meditation in the morning. It teaches you how to be in happiness or love energy all day long while you're trying to make money and do your stuff.
Hmm.
And that's really important to have a well-rounded existence. because money doesn't make you happy. You could have $1 million or whatever and be unhappy, and you have to learn to be happy while you're pursuing all this stuff. And that's
I
another
agree.
key. And that's the Achieve Love Energy. That's this one here is it's called achieveloveenergy.com.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
That's a piece of the pie. And well, actually, you were going to ask me this one, and this is the one. Junk Land in the Gold is the one I do.
Okay. Okay.
Books and 50 videos, and that's really worth. It's worth having. Not only does it tell you how to fix it, but it tells you what exactly to say to the planners at the city, how to coerce them, how to get them on your side, and sample conversations that I've recorded so you can hear, how I talk to people and to the city. And it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. And
That is cool.
and plus
That is
I
cool.
love
What?
I love helping people. And if people, do this stuff, they can call me. They can call me and say, I got a problem, do this. And I get calls a lot now. People call me, well, I got this kind of a problem with this property. How do I fix it?
Yeah.
Glad to help people.
That's kind of neat that you decided, and you said what prompted you to just you got to a certain age, and by the way, you don't look like you're 80. Pretty amazing. And so, but you decided that you wanted to give back at that point and really share the knowledge that you've gained along the way with those two books. So I commend you for that.
Yeah, no, I decided once I was 80, and I'm going to be 83 in a month,
Oh wow.
that my new goal in my life would be to help humanity in any way I can. And the best way I can help it is with my knowledge. So I decided to share all my knowledge with anybody for any reason to make their life better.
Yeah.
And so that's one way is helping them financially. The other way is helping them with the love energy, improving their self-image and stuff like that. So I now I'm spending virtually all my time on the love energy and helping people get away from fear, because nowadays our society is so full of fear.
Mm-hmm.
I have another site. I haven't written a book on it yet, but it's called If You Worry About Nuclear War. The site's called The Future Was Perfect. And what that means is, if you think about it, if the future was perfect, there's no nuclear war. And
For
also,
sure.
you actually get a sense of relief when you just say that.
Yeah.
That's the whole site. That's the name of the site. That's the whole site. There's those four
Yeah.
words. The future was perfect. That's it. You go to
Yeah.
the site and that's all it says. There's nothing else. And all you have to do is envision the future being perfect. Was perfect,
Yeah.
not is perfect, but was perfect. It already took place. And now you're back here knowing it took place and it was wonderful. And you go, ah,
Yeah.
and that's my gift to humanity,
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make
Love
people
it.
happy. Yeah. So those are my sites. I've got, the three sites,
Okay.
the future was
Let's
perfect, Junkland into Gold, and achieveloveenergy.com.
No, that's great. That's fantastic. Let's talk maybe a little bit more about the Achieve Love Energy. You mentioned kind of having kind of this meditation at the beginning of the day. How are you doing the meditation for somebody who's maybe not familiar with meditation and
Yeah.
maybe hasn't found or used that?
All right. I call this is so simple, it's unbelievable. Okay.
Yeah.
When you first wake up, you're in a survival mind. Like, what am I going to do today? Do I have enough money? Where's breakfast? Survival. You're not happy. You're
Yeah.
thinking bullshit thoughts. So the first thing you do, or what I do is I short circuit my brain and get into my body by using smells. So when I make my coffee, I take the
Mm-hmm.
coffee beans and I inhale the smell, and it overwhelms my nose, and then I start laughing. And once you start laughing, it short circuits your whole mind and you go into your body. And the
Yeah.
rule is you have to laugh 10 times with some sort of trigger. And sometimes I use mint leaves or anything that triggers my nose, that's really strong.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I laugh 10 times in a row. And once you laugh 10 times in a row, you create endorphins in your body. It always happens. You create all these endorphins, and then you're in your body. Then your body is feeling the endorphins, and that's where you want to be in love energy, not in your brain. You know,
Yeah.
and and then once you get in your this happy place, then I just use like a 30-second meditation. It's not even called a it's a mantra. And I say,
Okay.
thank you, Mr. Universe, for making me a human being. May I be filled with loving energy. May I be happy. Uh, may I live a long, happy, loving life with a long, happy, loving wife named Maria. And may I always be in love energy. And then when I say all that, I laugh.
Yeah.
The trick is laughing keeps you in your body in love energy. And then what you do is you practice feeling that. You do it and you feel it. It only takes a minute.
Yeah.
And once you feel that, that's where you want to be all day long. But you can't. So you go and you start working stuff and you get lost in survival mind. Then remind yourself how it felt an hour ago when that love energy, and taste it for a minute, and maybe even do a little bit of the mantra,
Yeah.
just to get back into that in your body happiness, and and then go on and do your work and stuff, and you'll pop back out. You have to go in and out all day long, it's just how it is. But the
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
you do that, the easier it is to pop into it. And if you do it all day long, your whole day changes. All stress bullshit just disappears,
Yeah.
because you're
Yeah.
happy, and something bad happens, you're in love energy and you go, well, it's not so bad, and,
Right. Right.
and, uh, and I do it every morning because when I wake up, I'm in a real lousy mood. It's just how
Yeah.
it is. But within about 5 minutes, when I'm completely done with this whole thing, I just feel so happy. And not only that, I want to share it with other people. Once I feel happy, I want to share it with other people. So if I get on the phone with somebody, I just want to share all that love energy. And whenever I talk on the phone, I always share the love energy on the phone. Just it's I force myself to do it. Even if I'm unhappy, I'll say I try and make the other person laugh. And if I make the other person laugh, I'm there. I won the race, and they're feeling my happiness. And
Yeah.
and I do that all day long. I do,
That's great.
and when I go to the bank or the store, I make them laugh. And whenever I go in a place, people always want me to come in because I always bring happiness and laughter and love energy. And they always compliment me that I'm the only guy that comes in and just overloads them with love and happiness.
That's
So
great.
I'm like the hero. And
Yeah.
so I'm achieving my goal. It's my life work now. This is my life
Yeah.
work. And there's no way to lose. Because the more I do, the happier I get, and the more happier I make other people. I can't lose.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
Yeah,
It's a great way to live
yeah,
for sure.
yeah. I went to my doctor's office yesterday, and they have a bunch of people, and they say, "Wayne, when you come here, this whole place lights up with happiness. You're the best person of everybody who comes in here.
Hmm.
All their clients and patients and shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I play with everybody. I tease them, and I teach them how to get into love energy. I say, if you want to go I'll teach you right now how to get into it, and I'll teach them
Yeah.
the 1 minute mantra. You know, and the best part about the 1 minute mantra, you could make your own mantra. It doesn't have to be my mantra. You just
Yeah.
make any mantra that makes you laugh and be happy. But it has to be short. It can't be long because people have a short attention span. The average person, so
Yeah.
it has to be 30 seconds, you know, and you just make a mantra that trips your trigger, that tickles your stomach and makes you laugh. And
Right.
then,
Makes sense.
and then what I do is I do like a physical thing. I move my hands and I feel the love energy in my body. I can massage it. It's like an aura, and I and
Hmm.
I and I can push it up from my groin up through my chest, through my head like this, and I kind of massage it and to make it bigger and bigger, and then I push it
Right.
out in the universe. And when I'm there, I can feel that I'm really pushing love energy into the universe and making the universe a better place. Just I'm like a one person love warrior, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
fight against evil energy and creating a better universe just by myself, just myself. And so And also when I do that, I can also feel the energy coming out of my hands. It's like, it feels almost like whatever, like a ray or something. And if I move my hands and face it towards my head,
Hmm.
I really start laughing a lot because the love energy just overwhelms my brain, and I just start laughing, just
Yeah.
unbelievably, just laughing, and by just moving my hands like this, and then so that that's kind of what I do, uh, and it's very successful.
Yeah.
It's very successful, and people, everybody I talk to, they call me up and they say, Wayne, I have to do a lot of little snippets of this on all the social media things. I do have a guy post all this stuff. He said, I see your stuff on, you are the most wonderful human being that there ever was. He says, that the message that you send is so fantastic to make people happy and improve
Yeah.
lives. I mean, they just call me out of the blue, and tell me this, that, damn, you're good. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really winning at my new profession, which is to
That's
make
right.
the world a better, happier place, no matter
No,
how.
that's great. That's great. And you're passionate about it. And
And
that's
I love
important.
Oh yeah, I love
Absolutely.
it. I love
And
it.
and it's contagious too. When you come into a room, when you come into a place, and you're building and bringing that love energy, it's contagious for sure.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it is. It is. And after a while, we all do the dance, the happy dance. Everybody's
right.
happy. You just feel. People start playing and being joyful, and yeah, it's such a wonderful thing. And right now, given how all this negative stuff that you hear from the news,
Yes.
bombarded with all this negative, I call it evil or dark energy. This is
Hmm.
the perfect solution to get away from that. And it
Yeah,
actually, love energy drives away evil energy.
for sure.
That's how it is. Love energy is more powerful than evil energy. So by doing that, you create happiness around you, and you're insulated from all the negative bullshit that's happening.
For sure. For sure. Yeah. It's like bringing a candle into a dark room, it just lights
Yeah,
it up, and,
right.
it can't, this has been great, Wayne. I want to have you tell the audience, again, how they can find out more about you. If they want to follow you, where's the best place to reach you? Of course, we'll put all this in the show notes as well.
Right. Well, here, I just did a new card. This is my new card, so I can do it here. It's got all my sites on it. And,
Great.
uh, and yeah, and the main thing though is to take the personal responsibility to make your life happier, and it's so easy.
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's not hard. Yeah. I'll give you one more little tidbit. It's called the even though thing.
Hmm.
And I'm a road rage person. When somebody cuts me off, I want to kill a person or rip their throat out, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you say, even though I want to kill a person and rip their throat out, if you feel the love energy you just did that morning in the meditation, and
Yeah.
you throw all that love energy at the guy right at that moment, instantly your anger goes away. That person actually feels better, and you completely solve the problem within 10 seconds. And you're
Yeah.
no longer angry.
That's
And it
great.
works. It's called even
Yeah.
though. Even though,
Even
and
though.
you can use it for anything where you stub your toe or what. Even though you want to yell and scream, and you go back to the love energy that you felt earlier, feel it in your body, and then send it out to somebody insults you or something or whatever. Send it to them, and then you love them, and you don't become antagonistic or it. And it works perfect for me, and I think
Yeah.
anybody could use that one. That's a
No,
that's
that's
a
great. That's great. This has been really good, Wayne. I appreciate it. So for those that want to learn about, how to make money, obviously, the taking the junk land and turning it into gold, and getting those multipliers, you're going to want to reach out to Wayne and subscribe to his program. Yeah, there we go.
this one, and then I got this
And
one.
then the love energy. Yeah, perfect.
Love energy,
I got
love energy is the most fun one. The other one will make you rich, but this will make you happy
That's
and
right.
rich.
You got to have both. You got to have
Gotta be
both
happy to be, happiness is more important than being rich, really, because you
for
can be poor and
sure.
be happy.
That's right. That's right. How about I got two other questions I ask every guest. One would just be any advice you would give somebody who's maybe just starting out in their investment journey?
Don't go in the front door. Everybody goes in the front door and they get beat up by professionals. Go and find the back door, and be creative. And kind of think out of the box. The front door, everybody gets in the front door and they get beat up, and they say, "Oh, here's a great investment. You're going to make, da 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 da." And generally, those don't work. Generally, yeah. So I'd say be creative. Look for the back door approaches, and just ask lots of questions. Like, is there another way? Like, instead of me giving you $10,000 to make $10,050, is there another way I can do that? Where I can only give you 1,000 and still make the profit. You just start investigating other ways. Just realize that there are lots of opportunities under rocks you haven't turned over yet.
Yeah.
And don't think that all the rocks you've looked at now is all there is, because that makes you depressed, because it doesn't give you what you want. So keep turning over new rocks to find new things, and be open to that. I think that's good for a young person. And,
I think so.
And there's one more point. Oh God, this is a big important one. This is important.
Okay.
One. I forgot to mention this one. Okay. Especially if anybody. People think emotions come up. Emotions happen, then thoughts happen. That they think that's the process. That's not how it works. Emotions all come from words that you tell yourself on your little record player in your brain. Like you say, if I'm sad and you play a sad record, all of a sudden you start feeling sad. The emotion always comes second. Young people don't realize that. And they think, well, I'm feeling emotion and I just have to deal with it. And, they try and do whatever and they can't figure it out. But it's just so simple to change an emotion by just changing the record on the record player. You say, I'm sad, sadness. All you do is say, I'm happy. Whenever you hear the sad thing, you say, okay, I'm not going to play that record. I'm going to play that. I'm happy, and envision yourself being happy. And then all of a sudden you'll start feeling happy. And if you say the happy one more than the sad one, eventually you'll be really happy. And it doesn't take long.
Yeah.
And eventually, if you're aware of that, anytime you have a negative emotion, you recognize the record you're playing and put the opposite record on that makes you feel happy,
Yeah. Okay.
And that one trick will change your entire happiness for your whole life. That one trick. That's the most valuable trick that anybody could ever learn.
Yeah.
Because
I love it.
It's so important and nobody knows it. It's so simple. It's so obvious and nobody knows it. And therapists don't teach that. School doesn't teach that. They teach you the other stuff, which makes you worse. That understanding that all you have to do is change the record on your brain on any negative thoughts and your life becomes glorious.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. Love it. Flipping the script for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Wayne.
I'm going to have to write a book on that because that one's real important and I don't have that separated. It's in my brain. That's really, really valuable.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Wayne, this has been fantastic. I enjoyed having you on the Wealth Flow, and I think we'll call it a show. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I know. And it works because I can see your face and it's working with you.
That's right. That's right. It is.
Being that you're still here, I trust you found value in this episode. I personally wish I would have known these guests and strategies when I started my wealth creation journey. Go to wealthflow.capital to subscribe to our newsletter. And as a free gift, we will send you our quarterly market report and the top 10 things to look for in an investment opportunity. Take a minute to give our show a rating and review. Help us reach 1 million professionals by subscribing and sharing this episode with someone you know who could also find value in it.